I saw it posted yesterday all over our social media pages. Cassie filed a lawsuit in New York City against Diddy.
Yikes.
She's claiming she was stuck in a decade-long cycle of abuse.
There's no vindication for me because for 4 years I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters. And the victim-making machine kept going on.
Let's talk about something that's been making waves in the entertainment industry, something that's got everyone buzzing: Sean Diddy Combs and the shocking revelations surrounding his infamous parties. We're not just talking about your run-of-the-mill Hollywood gatherings. Oh no, this is on a whole other level. These secretive, exclusive events have been whispered about for years, but now the curtain is finally being pulled back. And what's being revealed? Well, it's a lot darker than anyone could have imagined.
Took Sean Diddy Combs into custody. He's seen in this video entering the Park Hyatt Hotel in Midtown Manhattan with others when agents from Homeland Security Investigations approach and separate him. They place Combs under arrest and lead him out the front door in handcuffs.
Picture this lavish, over-the-top parties where the guest list includes some of the biggest names in music, film, and fashion. The drinks are flowing, the luxury is blinding, but behind the scenes, things are far from glamorous. These aren't just celebrations, these were orchestrated events, carefully planned and executed to manipulate and control those who attended. The promises made to the guests: fame, fortune, power. The reality? A lot more sinister.
You know, I think in federal court and for these charges, they would say it's routine, but in the public realm, this is very significant, just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, I mean, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in a jail.
Let's rewind a little. Diddy, the music mogul, has been one of the most powerful figures in the entertainment industry for decades. He was the visionary behind Bad Boy Records, launched the careers of numerous artists, and built an empire that spanned music, fashion, and even spirits. But what we're learning now is that his empire wasn't just built on talent and business savvy. According to numerous allegations, it was also built on manipulation, control, and exploitation. Now, we've all heard the stories about freak-off parties, right? These were the events that really put Diddy on the map in the underground circuit. But here's the thing, they weren't just wild parties, they were something much more calculated. The details coming out now are jaw-dropping. These gatherings, which spanned over a period of decades, were allegedly the perfect cover for what can only be described as a hidden operation of control and power plays. Tony Buzbee, the attorney representing over 120 alleged victims, has been vocal about what really went down at these events. According to him, these parties were meticulously designed to lure unsuspecting individuals into situations they couldn't easily escape from. We're talking about people who were desperate to make it big in the entertainment world, aspiring singers, actors, and models, all hoping for their big break. And Diddy, he was the gatekeeper, the one who could make or break careers with the snap of his fingers.
Controlled every aspect of her life. He is accused of frequently beating her and would hide her in hotel rooms for days until the bruising and signs of abuse were gone.
But here's where things take a darker turn. These weren't just parties where people networked and had a good time. According to the allegations, Diddy and his team would use these events to manipulate people into situations where they had little control. And how did they do that? Well, it's been said that guests were often given drinks that were spiked with substances, making them vulnerable and pliable. Sounds familiar, right? We've seen this kind of behavior in other high-profile cases, and it's no less shocking here. Once these guests were under the influence, that's when things allegedly got really disturbing. Behind the scenes, there were hidden cameras, recording devices, and even worse, rumors suggest that Diddy would secretly film certain guests in compromising situations, using the footage to blackmail them later. Imagine that. Some of the biggest names in Hollywood, unknowingly filmed and later controlled by someone they thought they could trust. It's chilling.
The issue is, it seems as though he wants to kind of like exert power and dominance over people who don't really want it.
One name that keeps popping up in these stories is Cuba Gooding Jr., who, according to some reports, was a regular at these events. Now, no one's directly accusing him of anything, but the fact that his name is even being mentioned raises some serious questions. What did he see? What did he know? And could there be more to his involvement than we've been led to believe? It's all still shrouded in mystery, but one thing's for sure, the more we learn, the more unsettling it becomes. But it's not just about the guests. Let's talk about the venues. These parties didn't happen in some random nightclub, oh no. We're talking about luxury hotels in places like New York, Miami, and Los Angeles. According to Buzbee, these hotels were in on it. They knew what was happening behind closed doors, and they turned a blind eye. Why? Well, money talks, doesn't it? The transactions that made these events possible were allegedly handled in cash, and the hotels were more than happy to look the other way as long as the money kept flowing.
This has to be a 100% culture shock. I can't imagine living a lifestyle of the incredibly rich and famous and then going into this very dark, impersonal, cold, austere facility.
And it wasn't just hotels. Banks also played a part in this web of corruption. We're hearing that certain financial institutions processed transactions that were, let's just say, highly suspicious. But because these banks had lucrative relationships with Diddy and his empire, they ignored the red flags. Now, these same institutions are being investigated, and the fallout could be massive. Buzbee has hinted that once all the details come out, people are going to be shocked at just how deep this goes. It's not just about substances and exploitation. It's about power that was wielded by Diddy and his associates to maintain control over anyone who got too close. The parties were a smokescreen, a way to lure in the unsuspecting and chain them to a life of secrecy. If they refused to play along, well, let's just say there were consequences. Some people were allegedly threatened, others blackmailed, and some even saw their careers destroyed overnight. Buzbee has been crystal clear about one thing: this isn't just a case against one man. It's a case against an entire system that allowed this kind of behavior to flourish for years.
And in this lawsuit, he claims that essentially P. Diddy was the Epstein of the rap industry.
And here's where things start to get really interesting. Buzbee has made it clear that Diddy wasn't acting alone. He's hinted that there are other high-profile individuals who were either directly involved in the parties or who knew exactly what was going on and did nothing to stop it. And we're not just talking about celebrities here. We're talking about corporate entities, banks, hotels, even pharmaceutical companies that were complicit in covering up these activities. It's a web that stretches far and wide, and the more it unravels, the more people are going to get caught in it. What's really shocking is that some of these entities are still in business today, still profiting from their association with Diddy's empire. But Buzbee is coming for them. He's vowed to hold everyone accountable, from the people who facilitated the events to those who helped cover them up. And he's got evidence. According to Buzbee, his firm has collected pictures, videos, and texts from the alleged victims that corroborate their stories. Some of these victims have already spoken to federal investigators, and more are expected to come forward in the coming weeks.
Special housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown unit, which means that any movement within that unit is controlled and coordinated, and no inmate moves outside of his cell without being in full restraints, to include leg irons, handcuffs, a belly chain, and at least 2, if not 3 staff members escorting them.
So what does this mean for Diddy? Well, he's already facing serious charges, but if Boo's right, this is just the tip of the iceberg. The lawsuits are going to start piling up, and it's not just Diddy who's going to be in the crosshairs. Anyone who was involved, anyone who turned a blind eye, is going to be held accountable, and that includes some of the biggest names in Hollywood. We're on the brink of something huge here. This isn't just about one man's downfall, it's about an entire system of corruption and exploitation that's been allowed to thrive for far too long, and the stakes couldn't be higher. If Diddy goes down, he's not going down alone. He's going to take a lot of people with him, and that's where things get really interesting.
Now you got the Diddy situation where he jumps on a private jet, they say yesterday, and is on his way to the Cape Verde Islands.
Because here's the thing, Diddy's not just a music mogul. He's connected. He's got ties to some of the most powerful people in the world. And if he starts talking, well, let's just say a lot of people are going to be sweating. Buzbee has already hinted that more names are going to be revealed in the coming weeks, and he's promised that when those names come out, people are going to be shocked. This isn't just about Diddy's actions, it's about everyone who enabled him, everyone who participated in these events, and everyone who benefited from his empire. And it's not just about the past either. These allegations span decades, from the early 90s all the way to the present day. That means there are people out there right now who are still living in fear of what Diddy might do next. The victims Buzbee is representing, they're not just names on a list, they're real people with real stories. And they're finally being heard. And as more of them come forward, the picture of what really went on at these parties is becoming clearer and clearer.
And I remember, I don't know if you know what his voice sounds like, but I felt like I was in the presence of his monster inside.
But here's the question that's on everyone's mind. How much did other people know? How many of Diddy's celebrity friends, business partners, and associates were aware of what was happening behind closed doors? And more importantly, why didn't they say anything? This culture of silence, of turning a blind eye to wrongdoing, is what allowed Diddy's operation to thrive for so long. But now, that silence is being shattered. Just think about it. For years, these parties were whispered about in Hollywood circles, but no one ever really talked about what went on. Sure, there were rumors, but nothing concrete. Now, with these lawsuits and criminal charges piling up, the truth is finally starting to come out. And it's not just Diddy who's going to be affected. We're already seeing the ripple effects with other high-profile figures distancing themselves from him, deleting old social media posts, and trying to scrub their connections to his empire. But it might be too late for that.
Rumors are that Diddy was running some kind of Epstein-type deal where he was filming everybody, right?
That's the rumors, yeah. I don't know that there's any proof or anything other than that.
So, here's where things get really interesting. We're talking about the ripple effect. Diddy's empire is crumbling, and it's not just him who's in the spotlight anymore. The question on everyone's mind is, who else is going to get dragged into this mess? And trust us, we're not talking about some random nobodies. We're talking about the biggest names in the business, people who shared the stage with Diddy, partied with him, and maybe, just maybe, knew a little more than they've let on. It's one thing for Diddy to face these serious accusations, but what happens when the spotlight starts to shift to his inner circle? The people who were always around him, the ones who were at these infamous parties, who were part of his world, what did they know? How much were they involved? And that's what's got everyone sweating right now, because if Diddy goes down, he's not going down alone.
Notes. Not only should he have apologized to Cassie in that video, he should have apologized to all of the general public that he lied to.
Yeah.
Take Jay-Z, for example. Now, Jay-Z and Diddy go way back. They've been seen together at countless events, from album release parties to the most exclusive Hollywood gatherings. There's even that iconic photo of them celebrating Usher's 26th birthday, surrounded by A-listers. It's no secret these two were tight back in the day. But here's the thing, their relationship has reportedly cooled off in recent years. And you've got to wonder why. Was it a simple case of drifting apart, or is there something more to it?
Jay-Z has been notable by his silence since these charges were brought against Diddy. Why do you think that is?
Because that's what he does. He starts little fires everywhere, forces everyone involved to go and carry water while he sneaks away without a response. That changes now, Sean.
There are rumors floating around that Jay-Z might have distanced himself from Diddy once whispers about these parties started getting louder. But the question remains, how much did he know? After all, Jay-Z is no stranger to being around powerful people with dark secrets. His name was even mentioned in conversations about other high-profile scandals. So, could he have seen something at one of Diddy's notorious gatherings? And if he did, why didn't he speak up?
To respond. You have no choice. Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Robert Kelly, Sean Combs have one person in common, professionally and privately. Sean Carter.
That brings us to Beyonce. She's the queen of keeping her private life under wraps, but even she can't escape the swirling rumors. Beyonce and Jay-Z have been spotted at more than a few of Diddy's events, including some of his most exclusive parties. And while Bey has built her empire on a squeaky clean image, the fact that she's been so closely associated with Diddy for so many years has people wondering just how deep those ties go. Could she have been aware of what was happening behind the scenes? Or is she, like so many others, simply caught up in the crossfire of Diddy's downfall?
A lot of people have been questioning, well, she doesn't really know him. She has no knowledge of him. She doesn't have a picture with him. I'm smarter than Claudia Jordan. I would never take a picture with the devil. Everyone knew he was the devil. He's been the devil for 30 years.
And let's not forget Justin Bieber. Now, this one's interesting because Bieber was mentored by Diddy when he was just starting out. There are even old clips of Diddy joking about being a big brother figure to Bieber and showing him the ropes in the industry. But here's where it gets dicey. Around the time Bieber was hanging out with Diddy, there were rumors unverified, of course, about what really went on during their time together. Remember that video where Diddy said he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television? What was he referring to? Was it just harmless fun, or was there something more sinister at play?
Moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing.
Bieber has stayed pretty quiet about the whole thing, but fans have noticed that he's been making some subtle moves to distance himself from Diddy. He's deleted old social media posts, and according to reports, he's even cut ties with people who were part of Diddy's circle. Is Bieber trying to protect his image, or is there something he's not telling us? And if Diddy's trial brings up old skeletons, could Bieber be forced to take the stand and reveal what he knows? But it's not just the music world that's caught up in this. Hollywood's elite have been circling Diddy for years, and now some of the biggest stars are finding themselves under scrutiny. Take Naomi Campbell, for instance. She's been photographed at Diddy's side at countless events, from red carpet galas to his infamous white parties. In interviews, she's spoken fondly of Diddy, calling him her brother. But the more we learn about what went on at these parties, the more questions arise about how much Campbell knew. After all, she's no stranger to scandal herself, and her name has popped up in other high-profile cases involving the rich and powerful. Could Naomi have seen something at one of these gatherings? And if so, why hasn't she said anything?
I know so much on how you got where you are, how you stepped on many people.
And then there's Leonardo DiCaprio. Now, this one's a bit more surprising. DiCaprio is known for keeping a pretty low profile when it comes to his personal life, but he's been spotted at Diddy's parties more than once. In fact, there's a photo of DiCaprio at one of Diddy's white parties back in 1998, looking very much a part of the crowd. Of course, being at a party doesn't mean he was involved in anything shady, but it does raise eyebrows, especially since DiCaprio's name has been floated in connection with other high-profile figures who've been caught up in scandals. Could he have been aware of what was going on at these parties? And if so, will he be one of the names that comes out as Diddy's legal troubles intensify? What we're seeing here is the beginning of a potential domino effect. Diddy's trial could very well be the catalyst that brings down more than just one man. If he starts naming names, or if evidence surfaces that implicates other high-profile figures, Hollywood could be rocked to its core. And we're not just talking about musicians and actors. We're talking about executives, business moguls, and even politicians who might have been part of Diddy's world.
Of course, there's layers upon layers. When you get into these conspiracy theories, man, they never end. They never end. There's just layers upon layers.
Let's not forget that Diddy wasn't just a music mogul. He was deeply connected to the fashion world, the business world, and even the political scene. His parties were attended by some of the wealthiest and most powerful people on the planet. And if the rumors are true, some of those people might have witnessed things that they're now trying desperately to cover up. Take Ashton Kutcher, for example. He's been a fixture at many of Diddy's parties over the years, and he even co-hosted one of the white parties back in 2009. Kutcher has always been seen as one of the good guys in Hollywood, but his connection to Diddy has raised some eyebrows. In a 2019 interview on Hot Uns, Kutcher joked about having some Diddy party stories that he couldn't share. And was he just being playful, or could there be more to those stories than he's letting on? And what about Paris Hilton? She's been a staple at Diddy's parties for years, often seen dancing the night away with Hollywood's elite. Hilton has always been known for her wild party lifestyle, but now that Diddy's legal troubles are in the spotlight, people are starting to wonder what she might have seen at those events. Could she have been a witness to some of the darker aspects of Diddy's gatherings? And if so, will she be called to testify?
Well, either way, if you got to run to a private island because your evil doings is doing so much and they storming your house, it's one of these.
Then there's Kim Kardashian. She's been photographed at Diddy's events more times than anyone can count. In fact, there's that infamous photo of her with Paris Hilton and a then unknown Kylie Jenner at one of Diddy's parties. Kardashian has built an empire on her image, and she's fiercely protective of her reputation. But now that Diddy's world is unraveling, could her connection to him come back to haunt her? And what about her sisters, Khloe and Kourtney, who were also frequent guests at Diddy's events? Will they be dragged into the spotlight as more details emerge? As we dive deeper into this scandal, one thing becomes clear: Diddy's downfall could have far-reaching consequences for some of the most well-known and well-respected figures in Hollywood, and the more we learn, the more it seems like this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are whispers that some of these celebrities are quietly settling cases behind the scenes, offering huge payouts to keep their names out of the headlines. But will that be enough to protect them once Diddy's trial gets underway?
That clearly there is a criminal investigation underway, and that they believe that there would be evidence of crimes in one or both of these homes.
What's really interesting is that this isn't just about the people who attended the parties. It's also about the people who helped make them happen. There are rumors that certain hotels, airlines, and even financial institutions were involved in facilitating Diddy's events. And if those rumors are true, we could be looking at a much bigger scandal than anyone initially realized. Banks that processed suspicious transactions, hotels that turned a blind eye to what was happening behind closed doors, these entities could soon find themselves in the crosshairs of legal action. So, what happens next? Well, all eyes are on Diddy's upcoming trial, and as more details come out, we could see a lot of high-profile figures getting dragged into the fray. The entertainment industry has long been known for its cover-ups and secrets, but it seems like the walls are finally starting to come down. And when they do, the fallout could be massive. In the end, Diddy's story is about more than just one man's misdeeds. It's about a system that allowed these events to happen, a culture of silence that protected the powerful, and a web of complicity that stretches far beyond the world of music. As more names come to light, we're left wondering, who else is going to be exposed? And more importantly, will this finally be the moment when Hollywood's darkest secrets are brought into the light? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get the conversation started. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, stay curious.